If anyone has homeworks, post them up and I'll just go like this way.
When should I ask you that question? When should I ask you that question? So you can tell everybody.
I didn't.
When should I ask you?
Oh, that's good.
I have a question.
Oh, you have a question? What's the question?
Some of us were wondering, we wanted to donate some money to our wonderful, the Rinpoche, last week. Sorry. And there was a bowl on the table, and we thought that bowl was for him, and it wasn't for him. And so we would like to be able to.
She's like, oh, really?
I put a lot of money in there, really.
That bowl apparently was for cure, which is also in it. Yeah. So and then we left people who figured it out. So we were wondering, those of us who would like to still give the money, would like to give cash flow.
So if you still like to give money to the Geshe, we'll probably go see him in October. So we're going to go to Nepal in October. I'm happy to take it as cash. I think that's the fastest way. Huh?
I'm sorry, can you spell this?
I cannot. I've sent it in an email. Yeah, I can find the email for you, but I can't do it. So, can you be the focal point?
Yeah, sure.
Any donations that goes to Geshe, that wants to go to Nepal, give over here, which takes me to another segue. The reason we're going to Nepal is to find 108 people that I met in 2008. These are seemingly random individuals who invoked a certain state of wanting to help the world, in not just me now, in about 25 people or more that are coming to these 108 projects. Carolyn is the project coordinator. She's our project manager. If you would like to know a little bit about the project, if you would like to contribute, whether it's money, time, resources, ideas, clicking like on Facebook, please talk to Carolyn. We'll be going to Nepal in October to touch base with these 108 people, and then we're going to go as a team in April, March next year for about 3 to 4 weeks, and we're going to try and shower these people with everything they've ever wanted by raising funds over here, and we've already identified what would make them happy, and then imagine that you could list all the things that made you happy, and then you forgot that you listed them, and one day some people come into your world and they give you everything. So we're going to try and do that to 108 people, and then we're going to try and teach the volunteers that are doing that to go ahead and do that in different parts of the world and teach other people to do the same. So then 108 times 108 times 108 times 108 equals a whole bunch of social entrepreneurs who decide to just do their bit. And it doesn't have to be grand like we're making it, we're trying to figure it out. It could just be doing something for 108 people in your community, in your part of the world. So if you'd like to be part of that, it is an excellent vehicle for testing out these philosophies, because you actually, it's not as nice as it seems. It's actually a bit, I've got to do that email, and I've got to send out work, I've got to get visas, and you're going to have all these mental afflictions coming up which you have to tame, which is the point, for you. And then something should shift in you. So I'm not going to get to cover last class. Well, do you remember anything from the class that the Geshe taught? I'm going to ask you, what's the definition of bodhicitta? Because he covered bodhicitta and the mind, right? What's the definition of bodhicitta? There's a short one and a long one.
Wish to attain enlightenment for the sake of other being.
Excellent. There was one bit missing. The wish to reach
Full enlightenment.
Thank you. Total enlightenment for the sake of every other being, all other living beings, etc. Sentient beings. And this question is weird, right? Or full enlightenment. I want half enlightenment, please. Why full enlightenment? What does that mean? Yeah? He covered it. Do you remember? No. Okay, it's because so when the Geshe degree happens, you do it through, actually, do you remember ACI 1? We covered the different schools, the 4 schools. Can you pass them around? And the different views on emptiness and dependent origination. This is not my forte. Yeah, I am not an academic. It's actually a bit painful. I'm like, why didn't the Buddha just teach it the way I like it? Why did he have to teach it the way other people like it too? Yeah? So the Buddha taught these different views, different levels of understanding on dependent origination, how things arise, on emptiness, the ultimate nature of things. And these schools arose over time. And they've been debating ever since about the correct view, or no, it's this way, no, it's that way. And that's where you get this high school, lower school, So what I'm saying to you is, we are Madhyamikas. What does a Madhyamika mean? Middle way. No, mind only is one of the schools. So what's Madhyamika? Middle way, right? There's 2 sub-schools of Madhyamika, right? One is Prasangika and the other one is Svatantrika. For 12 years in the monastery, we sit in the subset of the Madhyamika schools. And at the moment, the course, the Ornament of Realizations, we're studying from that school's point of view. And that school's point of view tells you that there are 3 Buddhahoods. There are 3 states. For people for those who are listeners, those who are self-made Buddhas, and for Madhyamikas. Yeah? For Mahayanists. Sorry, for the greater way. Sorry. So then, each of those schools, you don't. Ultimate. Yeah. You don't have to remember all these things, but the stuff that I'm passing around will be a foundation for all future courses as well. Okay? You don't have to remember this for this course, but the only reason we put the word total enlightenment is to exclude lower enlightenments as seen from this school that we're supposed to be studying for 12 years, right? In the monasteries. Which is really, from the highest school's point of view, to nirvanas. They're not Buddhahoods. Yeah? So that's why they say total enlightenment, because the other schools call nirvana enlightenment. Yeah? There we go. All these 3 paths, or 3 tracks, if you like, which is the Mahayanas, the self-made Buddhists, and the listeners, they all follow these 5 paths that get you from now to being a Buddha. The 3 principal paths fit into these 5 paths properly. Do anybody know the 5 paths? The first of the 5 paths is the path of accumulation, preparation, then seeing, then habituation, then no more learning. Okay? So we'll cover them next week. But because they all share these 5 paths, they have slightly different interpretations of what these paths, what are the stages in those paths, and where they lead you to. The path of listener. So by the way, what's a listener?
One who listens to the teachings of the Buddha and changes meditations based on what he's heard.
He can hear Mahayana, he can hear the middle way, he can hear bodhicitta and all this stuff. He can hear that higher motivation to want to help all other living beings. He can even teach it, or she. Yeah? But they can't enact it.
What do you mean they can't enact it?
Their true motivation is to get out of samsara for themselves. They can say all the right things, they can teach all the right things as per scripted by the Buddha. Yeah.
I mean, I think I read the same stuff. Isn't it that the listeners they got taught by somebody else.
No. It's just somebody, a listener is a person who can hear the Dharma, who can hear the middle way, who can hear the whole motivation about bodhicitta and everything else, but their motivation, they just can't enact it, they can't be it. They can't have that motivation. They could try, they just don't have it. That's why they're called listeners, they can just hear it. Self-made Buddhists, so their goal on their track, they still follow the 5 paths. Their result is nirvana as a result, because they don't have bodhicitta, they just don't have it in their motivation. The self-made Buddhas or solitary realizers is a being who, anyone?
Has no teacher.
Huh?
Has no teacher.
Has no teacher
in this life.
in this life. So how can you reach nirvana? How can you reach enlightenment? Because the end of this path is nirvana. Yeah. So it's an enlightenment. That's why it's not total enlightenment. Yeah. So the self-made Buddhists can reach enlightenment, just not total enlightenment. How can they reach that without a teacher? How can they come into this world and get to know all these things and experience them and turn it into a result of achieving nirvana without a teacher?
The argument is that if they had a teacher in a past life,
They must have had eons of teachers in their past lives. Yeah? So from this school, the Majjhimika Svatamtika, whatever, their point of view is that there are 3 enlightenments. The bottom 2 are nirvanas. The highest one is called Buddhahood. All of them end suffering. All of them cessate pain. The difference between the bottom 2 of listeners and self-made Buddhas are that they just reach nirvana because their motivation is that of a lesser scope, like we talked at the beginning.
Are they aware of that?
They're aware of that. I don't know that answer. Are you aware of your motivation? What? I would like to think that I'm a Mahayanist. I would love it. Yeah? But I catch myself sometimes and I think, am I really doing this for the sake of other people? As I step over the homeless person in New York trying to rush my way into the subway. I'm like, I'm saying all the right things. Ultimately, how well do you know your motivation? You can act all the right things. I don't know if I'm producing a self-made Buddha. No, a listener or a Buddha. I don't know.
You can't be a self-made Buddha because you've already taken teaching.
No, I said listener, I fixed it. Yeah. Yeah.
Question, do all enlightenments take you out of the cycle of samsara? Or only the ultimate enlightenment does?
What do you think?
Well, I think that only the ultimate enlightenment does, but I think a lot of things wrong.
Well, what's the difference? No, nirvana is out of samsara. Goodbye.
Okay.
Isn't it? Permanent cessation of all mental afflictions. Permanent. Forever. Cessation. No more bye-bye. Of all mental afflictions. Not even a slight disturbance that anything throws you off track.
But you can still die as an alcoholic. So that's not actually one.
Can you die? Did the Buddha die?
Technically, yeah, it's dead.
So who died?
I thought alcoholics couldn't choose that. That was more.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, still
Yeah.
Or maybe that's
Let's cook that. Yeah.
I've heard from my Geshe that even if you reach nirvana and you're an Arya or an Arhat, that depending on your level, the Buddha sometimes can say, that he pulls you out. Say, hey, you're needing something. Because like your time limit, there is a time limit to even
Well, the definition of nirvana is?
It's a paradise.
It's the permanent cessation of all mental afflictions.
Yes, but it doesn't mean that just because the mental afflictions are finished, that you get to stay in some parallel universe for...
It's the permanent cessation of all your mental afflictions.
Yes, but it's the sensation, but it doesn't mean that you get to stay in a particular parallel. You can leave it. You can be asked to leave. You can be there can be a limit to it. It's not something that like the formless realms and the God realms and the Buddhist realms.
You're propelled out of the cycle forced upon you of samsara. You are still under the influence, and even Buddhists are, of cause and effect, of karma. It's just a different type of karma.
But it says that the Buddha doesn't dwell in nirvana, or he doesn't dwell in any abiding, that he dwells in the ultimate perfection. And that's outside of nirvana. It's not in nirvana. It does not dwell in
But nirvana is not a place.
I understand, but it says so in text. It says the Buddha does not dwell in nirvana. He dwells in the ultimate perfection.
I don't know that text. So
So
tell me that text, and maybe I don't know.
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
bring it because it would be really incorrect to say that he abides in nirvana, because the nirvana is the end of his helping.
But that's why we said
Buddha's attainment is way beyond nirvana.
No, exactly. That's matchless Buddha. That's why it's total enlightenment.
Nirvana and Buddhahood are
totally different things. So I don't think I meant to say, I don't know if I did say that the Buddha is in nirvana. That's not what I said. That from this school, the interpretation of enlightenment is that there are three enlightenments. Right? Those of listeners, those of self-made Buddhists, and those of Mahayanists. Right? The Mahayanist one produces matchless Buddhahood, total enlightenment. Yeah? The other two produce nirvana only, because their motivation is just self. So a self-made Buddha can reach the end of the path, of the 5 paths, yeah? But they will reach a nirvana. So will the listeners. The person of the highest scope, the Mahayanist, will still cessate their mental afflictions and produce matchless Buddhahood, total enlightenment. The difference between nirvana and enlightenment is what?
Bodhicitta.
Huh?
Bodhicitta.
From the causal point of view, bodhicitta. But what does that produce that you don't get in nirvana? Omniscience. You get to experience every single object of every single place of time through every one of your 6 senses. So you could taste with your foot, you could smell, you could have a vision with your skin. Yeah, so, and we have to, it's good that you're having this question. So I apologize if I gave you the impression that I said Buddha goes in nirvana. That's not what I meant. I meant from the school that we're studying at the moment, they have these 3 enlightenments. One of them is total because it produces a Buddha. Yeah? The other 2 are not total because they just get you to nirvana. Yeah? Which means you don't have omniscience, you've just escaped the cycle. And having gone back to the people of the lesser, medium and higher scope, you can correlate that the only motivations that produce a nirvana are the ones that are just for you and not with other living beings. Right? So what I'm going to ask you is, if you haven't had a chance, can you please look at, before we come back to next class, please read and write down the full definition of bodhicitta as found in reading 2, which is what the Geshe went through last week. Because you will find in there the reason why it's that state of mind of the greater way. Why is this total enlightenment? There are some key words in a long definition to bodhicitta which iron out and begin to answer the questions that we all should be asking. what is Buddhahood? What is it really? Because it's nice to have a fuzzy-wuzzy idea about where you're heading.
It's reading 3, it's not reading 2.
It's actually reading 2.
Reading 2.
Which covers class
2 and 3. Yeah.
Oh.
So in this course, reading 1 covers class 1 and 2, reading 2 covers 3 and 4, and so on. Yeah.
Can you bring some more of those handouts? Not all of us got them.
Yep, no problem. And if you want them, email me and I can send them to you. Okay, so I'm leaving it there. Your task, should you choose to accept it, remember and try and memorize the content of that longer definition of bodhicitta, because we will unpack it in the next class and then we'll talk about the 5 parts. And there's something special about the 5 parts, because once you understand those, we're entering a whole new world. Okay? So try and generate a sensation of what it is that you gained through the time here. That want to know, that want to get wisdom, that want to figure it out, that is precious and rare on the planet. Please share it with those beings who have not had that fortune. Give it away to them, so you imagine them fully awakening as they go about their days because of what you're giving them. Teddy. Buki Jushin Metotran Viram Lingshin Indegam Padi Sangye Shindu Miteguargi Dropen Nanda Shinlaju Parsho Idam Guru Ratnanandala Kanya Sayami Digeohim Sunam Yeshe Sotsoshin Sunam Yeshe Rejunwe Namka Kuni Show. And just visualize that being that was on the crown of your head entering your head and lowering down to the level of your heart, and keep them there safe until you get home and fall asleep. Thank you for coming.